Hello, my name is Amy. The training agency, the Royals Consulting Group, is here to help guide this determined group of 25 new employees. All 25 of these new employees are from the United States and are soon going to be working for the largest company in the country, Singapore. Once you all settle down in Singapore, the majority of you new employees may likely experience a cultural shock. The culture in Singapore consists between the variety of modern Asian, European culture traditions and beliefs. We will now be going over our goals, imperatives, and agenda that all relates to these cultures. The goal that is set for you guys is to feel fairly respectful, confident, and comfortable being in a cross-cultural work environment. The imperatives that we'll be discussing are the peace, economic, technological, demographic, self-awareness, and ethical imperatives. These imperatives are meant to help you have a better understanding of intercultural communication. Our agenda for today is to also address the highlights of Singapore's cultural resume, communication, incorporation, and application. Singapore's history evolved through the separation of Malaysia to the British invasion. This affected all kinds of people who were living in Singapore, how they designed their buildings, and how they also honored one another. The identities that Singapore consists of are about 5 million Singaporeans, while some of them are Chinese. Singapore is also a city-state island country. As small as it is, it holds a lot of value within the people and their creations. Singapore is quite known for their advanced technologies and being the third best corrupted economy in this world. A Dutch social psychologist named G. Hofstede and a few others help one another identify important values that will help people understand the different cultures and how we come to be. Hofstede's value dimensions are identified as power distance, masculinity, femininity, uncertainty, avoidance, long-term versus short-term orientation to life, and indulgence versus restraint orientation. Singapore's core values are high power distance, masculinity, low uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation to life, and indulgence. As you expect, the high power distance is the opposite of the low power distance, such as the example of calling your boss by their formal name they go by and not just by their first name. The feminine characteristics mainly consist of valuing the quality of life, while the masculine characteristics value of achievements more. For Hofstede's value on uncertainty avoidance, this is based on the comparison of low and high appreciations of rules. Low uncertainty avoidance dislike rules, while the high uncertainty avoidance appreciates more extensive rules. This relates to how formal the environment is as well. The value of virtue over truth and perseverance goes under the long-term orientation. Lastly, the separate values of indulgence represent freedom of speech over maintaining order, while restraint stands for maintaining order over freedom of speech. Not only does Hofstede identify values help shape Singapore's culture, but so does the history and identities that Singapore holds. The people of Singapore also value communication. To really communicate proficiently while you are all there, you may want to identify the language that the person you are speaking with understands first. Because of Singapore's history, the culture there is multicultural. Therefore, there is not just one main language. Most Singaporeans are bilingual with the understanding and speaking of English and Mandarin Chinese. English and Chinese are the main languages that are spoken in Singapore, along with the language Malay as well. Since you guys are all from the United States, you are lucky that the main language for you is also English. There should not be a large language barrier between you and the people of Singapore. However, not people may understand English as well as others do, so it is in our best interest to introduce you two guys to some Mandarin. To verbally say hello, you say ni hao. This is pronounced as ni hao. When you are greeting someone, it is respectful to ask them how are you. To say how are you, you say ni hao ma, pronounced as ni hao ma. Now, if someone is asking you how you are, you can respond by saying very good as hun hao, hun hao. If you're not able to verbally communicate with someone, you can perform some nonverbal behaviors that may be passed as respectful as well. To grab someone's attention, you may simply raise your hand and wave. Just make sure that you're not jerking your forearm too much or pounding your fist. That may come across as rude and disrespectful. It is important to keep in mind that most Singaporeans honor one nonverbal behaviors more than what comes out of other people's mouths. If you are grabbing someone's attention and speaking with them, remember to not touch their head as it is seen as a sacred space. Showing the bottom of your feet is also seen as disrespectful. So if you are comfortable doing so, please do not. As a traveler or tourist, the first place that you will see is obviously the airport. Expect to be amazed. The airport is one of Singapore's most famous places to explore and appreciate. That may sound odd or boring, however, Singapore's airport is like no other. The airport is called Chua Changji. It is awarded the world's best airport. It is huge. The world's tallest indoor waterfall is also placed inside of this airport. This waterfall even features a light show in the evenings for the people to enjoy as they're visiting or waiting for their next flight. You guys will get to see all the things that are offered there when you arrive in Singapore. Once you leave the airport and may want to start touring right away, you should visit Garden by the Bay, Mirror Line, and or Marina Bay. These are some of the top places to spend your precious time at. Singapore is known for shopping. They have amazing shopping malls and night markets as shopping is a big norm in Singapore. Football and badminton is also popular in Singapore's culture as well. Another thing to keep in mind is to stay clean. It is extremely important and popular to be clean in Singapore. Do not jaywalk, chew gum, display public drunkenness, spitting, and more. It is known that you may be fined for doing so in Singapore, the fine city. When it comes to practical businesses communication, the communication in the workplace is good. People are communicating verbally and non-verbally. They are mostly open-minded and work well with one another. The employees engage with eye contact, greetings, and respect another's space. When another employee is busy with their work, the other will usually communicate through nonverbal behaviors instead of verbal behaviors so they do not distract their coworkers. This is mainly done when someone is currently in a meeting. When employees greet one another, they usually say hello and also another phrase following it. The other phrases that may be used are good morning or how are you. Another example of what employees do when they see each other is the nonverbal behavior of bowing halfway to one another. It represents respect. When it comes to power, the language with the employees and the bosses are very respectful. The bosses are meant to be respected and seen highly. The employees have to call the bosses by their formal name. The business communication in Singapore compared to the United States are quite similar. Everyone is meant to be respectful and fair. A difference that may be interesting is that Singaporeans take respect a lot more seriously than Americans do. An example is when a Singaporean is working, they cannot cross their legs when they are more visible to others without it being seen as rude and disrespectful. Pacifism is also quite common in Singaporeans' workplace because most of the employees there do not like to deal with unnecessary drama at work. They believe in the restraint style behavior when disagreements are present in the work environment. They are usually already drained out from their own work because they're already working extra overtime. The normal work hours in Singapore are already also long as well. A conflict that occurs in Singapore that can affect the workplace is gay rights. Legally, gay marriage is illegal in this country, Singapore. It is also technically legal for people to have gay relations with one another. Even though it is illegal, that does not stop everyone. There are a lot of gay Singaporeans that do not hide that part of themselves from the world. In addition, there have been multiple pride parades in Singapore. These events are called pink dots. They are not afraid of showing the world who they are and are proud of it. Even though they are direct with their actions of not hiding that part of identity, this community is still indirectly handling their conflict with the government because there is a portion of the members that are more restrained and not as loud as they can be. There are many gay Singaporeans that believe that if they do speak out about their rightful rights a lot and loudly, there would be more backlash from others. People can become more opinionated and cruel about their beliefs against gays. Everyone should all still be respected because either they choose to be silent or loud, they are doing what they are comfortable with. As not every LGBTQ plus person is silent, Singapore is still dealing with this conflict as their rights are not legalized yet. I advise you to not try to mention the LGBTQ plus community often in the workplace. A conducted poll in 2019 showed that 43% of the respondents opposed gay marriage. You should want to avoid conflicts as much as you can in your new work environment. Avoid controversial conversations if you're able to. To wrap up this training, I hope that you guys all keep in consideration of everything that was mentioned and or the key points that I've spoken about today. Greet others, honor Singapore's cultural way of showing respect, enjoy, and do not chew gum. Thank you.